Welcome back to the channel, and today we're once again having the Death Guard face off against the Imperial Fists, this time at 3,000 points. So here I have 2,995 points of Death Guard using the Reaping Rite of War. So, HQ, as is usual for me at the moment, Callous Typhon is leading the force. Then I have a Praetor in Cataphracti with a Combi Melter Gun and a Chain Fist. And for elites, I have my Dreadnought with 2 Gravis autocannons, a Cataphracti squad. They've got a heavy Alchem Flamer in there, Sergeant has a Power Scythe, and the squad has Combi Bolters and Chain Fists. And then we've got 2 Apothecaries, one of which seems to have lost a sword. I'll sort that out in a minute. Troops. First tactical squad, that one has got a sergeant with, which sergeant is that? That is the Power Fist sergeant. A unit has chain bayonets, and we have a Vexilla and Annuntio Vox. That one, similarly, sergeant has a lightning claw, and another thing that's fallen off, I'll fix that in a minute. Normal bayonets and Vexilla and Annuntio Vox. Because of the Reaping, my 10-man heavy support squad with missile launchers are in a troop slot, and a support squad with Volkite calivers. Both those squads have augury scanners, and the Volkite sergeant has artificer armour. On the fast attacks, we have 2 sabres with Anvilus snub autocannons, multi-melters, and both have 2 sabre missiles. Oh, I forgot to say, both tactical squads have a Rhino. And for heavy support, we've got my Grave Warden squad, assault grenade launchers, heavy Alchem Flamer, Power Fists all round. And my Spartan, last cannon arrays, twin link heavy bolter, multi-melter, and has a flare shield. And finally my Kratos with the battle cannon upgraded for flash burn, las cannons, autocannons, heavy bolter, dozer blade and flare shield. There we are, 2,995 points of Death Guard.
Okay, here's my lovely Imperial Fist army for today. I'm doing the Pride of the Legion, Rite of War. So, to start with, I have my Warlord, Fafnir Ran. I'm also taking a Moritat for the first time. Elites, I have an Apothecarian detachment with 2 Apothecaries. They're identical, just both bolt pistols and chainswords. I have a 10-man veteran squad. They are armed with power axes and bolt guns, and there are 2 plasma guns in there, along with a Vexilla and a Vox. And they will be in this drop pod right here. I have a Contemptor Dreadnought with a Gravis Melter Cannon and a Gravis Chain Fist with a Melter Gun and also a Havoc Launcher. And then I have a 10-man Cataphracti Terminator squad, all with Combi Bolters and Power Fists, apart from these 2 which have Iliastus Assault Cannons, and there is a Vox and a Vexilla. And they will be in the Land Raider Spartan with a Flare Shield. And then I just have a regular tactical squad here with a Vexilla and a Sergeant with a Combi Melter. I have a Breacher squad, all with bolt guns with a Vox and a Vexilla. And I have this lovely Recon squad here. They all have Nemesis bolt rifles and a Vox. And then shifting over here for heavy sports, I have my usual 10-man heavy sports squad with heavy bolters. I have a Scorpius with a heavy bolter on it, And I also have a Shadow Sword with a Havoc Launcher, Searchlight, and one set of sponsons. And that is 2,999 points of Imperial Fists.
Right, before I go into my deployments, I did change something slightly since I recorded my army overview. I forgot that the Cataphracti Terminators can take a Spartan as a dedicated transport, so they've done that, which means I don't have to take the Reaping, and I've gone with Pride of the Legion to give me a third troop choice. Okay, so there's my Volkites, my two Sabres, Typhon and the Grave Wardens, the Kratos, Heavy Support Squad, two Rhinos and the Spartan who have the Cataphracti within them, and finally my Dreadnought.
Right, and here is the Imperial Fist deployment. So, my Spartan with the 10 Cataphracti Terminators is over here, my Contemptor Dreadnought's here, my Scorpius is there, my Heavy Support Squad is up here, my Shadow Sword is sat right here, and then my Breaches and an Apothecary are over here, my Recon Squad are up there, my regular Tactical Squad down there, and my Moritat is just hiding here. And in reserve I also have the drop pod with the veterans inside of it. So, objectives. The mission we're doing is Onslaught, and the two objectives are here and around there.
There.
So, rolling to see if the Death Guard can steal the initiative. Nice.
No.
On to Imperial Fists, turn 1. Okay, movement-wise, Spartan moved up there, didn't get immobilised. I forgot about the Dreadnought, I'm going to move that in a second. These guys, here they are, that stayed where it is. That just turned slightly, so that Rhino on my right is in its centre line. Breaches moved up, they stayed where they are, they moved off of it, and the Moritat jumped over there. Onto shooting, after I move the Dreadnought. So, the Shadow Sword started by firing its Volcano Cannon into that, and it scattered with a double 6. Fortunately though, it scattered into the Rhino and blew it up and killed one of those guys in the explosion. And then the Heavy Bolters fired at them and killed 4. The las cannons would have fired at the Rhino, but it blew up before I got the chance. And the Dreadnought moved there. Okay, so the Dreadnought moved up with the intention to fire at the Kratos, but with flare shields, melter weapons can't scratch it. So instead I fired at that, I killed one guy with the melter cannon and did nothing with the Havoc Launcher. Okay, so this unit just fired at the Missile Launch Squad and managed to finish them off for the Onslaught objective. Right, so the Recon Squad fired at them and I managed to kill their Sergeant and their Apothecary. Okay, so then my Scorpius shot and I killed 4 more of them and managed to pin them. Okay, so this just shot, I managed to do 2 hull points and a shaken to the front sabre, and they returned fire at me but did nothing. That's the end of my shooting for the first turn, and I'm certainly not charging. So for the Onslaught mission, I get 2 victory points for the 2 units I killed on the first turn. On to Death Guard turn 1.
So the objective this turn is to get at least 2 units removed off the board. So, starting with the Volkite squad, they move forward. I think they're going to try and do some damage to the heavy squad there. The 2 Sabres moved up. They're going to attempt to take out the Dreadnought. Terminators just moved out, they're too short range to do anything at this time. Kratos is going to try his luck with the Spartan. And we've got this Rhino zoomed across, falling over my own feet there. This Spartan zoomed across because it needs to get towards the objective. That's a pin squad, so it did nothing. And this Spartan moved up. I'm probably going to leave the Super Heavy alone this turn because I can't take it out, so I need to get some victory points on the first turn. And Dreadnoughts moved up a little bit to do some damage. Maybe to that squad there. Right, let's do some shooting and pick some targets. Kratos fired everything apart from the heavy bolter at the Spartan. Heavy bolter fired at them. Failed to do any wounds there, and failed to do any wounds there as well. That didn't go according to plan, did it? No. Right, 2 saber tanks shot at the Dreadnought. I managed to cause 1 wound. The Volkite squad there almost fired at the heavy squad, but then I considered the 40 heavy bolt shots that would come back at me. So I had a gamble at taking out the Dreadnought, but didn't. Oh well. Right, next up I'm going to fire the Spartan. I'm going to fire the heavy bolter and 1 lascannon array at the recon squad, and the multi-melter and the other lascannon array at the Dreadnought. So that is 1 wound to that squad, and how many? 1?
2 to the Dreadnought.
2 to the Dreadnought, so yeah, it's still there. So all I've got left to do now is fire my Dreadnought. And I'm going to try and finish that Dreadnought off. Oh, or is it? See, I want to kill 1 unit. The Dreadnought would have 2+ saves against me?
Unless you rend.
Unless I rend. And they would have 3.
3 saves against you, unless you rend.
But then it would still be 4. 4 wounds to them, 4 wounds. So I need to do 4 wounds.
3 wounds to that.
To what?
The Dreadnought's got 3 left.
Oh, I thought it had 6 wounds.
Yeah, and you've done 3 in total.
Oh, I've done 3, yes, right. Okay, yeah, that's made up my mind then. I'm going to see if I can take that Dreadnought out. Well, I managed to do another 2 wounds to it, but it's still standing. So, at the end of my first turn, I didn't wipe out anything. So that now puts me at a severe disadvantage. Basically, to win this game now, I have to take his objective and he can't take mine. This is going to be a tough one. Right, back for Imperial Fists, turn 2.
Okay, starting with the movement phase, the drop podded in there, got very lucky with the new vehicle scattering rules, so it didn't go off the board. And they all got out. Over here, the breaches moved up. I completely forgot about my Moritat and my tactical squad, I'll deal with them in a second. This just turned a bit, so the Kratos is in its centre line. These guys didn't move. The Dreadnought moved up. The Spartan moved an inch over some rocks and got immobilised. So the Cataphract Terminators got out. And that's the movement phase. Let me finish the movement phase. Right, so these 2 units, the tactical squad just moved out into the open there, and the Moritat jumped up there and he passed his test, so he's fine. On to shooting. Okay, so the big 550 point tank, fired at that, did 2 whole points and immobilised it. I thought I could do more. And then it fired heavy bolts at them and did nothing. Okay, so the Dreadnought fired into this unit. I blew up one of them and did a hull point and shook the other. They did return fire with their melter guns, but luckily I saved. Okay, so the Spartan fired. It fired its left lascannon to the side armour of that Spartan, did nothing, and its multi-melter into the last remaining sabre and blew it up. And in the explosion I actually managed to kill 1 Terminator. Okay, so these Terminators fired at the Volkite squad up there, and I killed 2 of them. And then this squad fired at them and finished them off. Right, these 3 infantry units here decided they'd all fire at the Dreadnought, and I did nothing. Okay, so at the last of the shooting phase, they decided they weren't going to shoot because I didn't want to kill the unit that I'm trying to charge. And this tried to fire at the Terminators, but failed to hit. On to charging. Okay, so this combat actually went quite well. I wiped out the tactical squad that was there, and with the power axes I managed to glance the Rhino to death. And then these guys emergency disembarked over there. That marks the end of Imperial Fists turn 2, so on to Death Guard turn 2.
Okay, the odds are against me and the situation is grim. So, Grim Wardens. They're making their way towards the Terminators because they're tough. Yeah, that's my excuse. That's obviously immobilised, so can't do anything, so I'll shoot some tempting targets. They couldn't do anything this turn. Spartan reverse, Terminator's got out. I need to remove them off my objective at least. And Dreadnought just shuffled, and it's occurred to me how little I have left on the board. What turn is this? Turn 2?
2.
Deary me. Okay, let's shoot some things. Okay, my Kratos fired its heavy bolter at the Dreadnought, but I didn't expect to do anything, and it didn't. Everything else fired at the Spartan. I did manage to take 2 hull points off of it. Right, let's see what to do next. Right, I'm being lazy and not walking over to the other side of the room, but the Terminators inside that building fired at the Terminators behind those crates, but I didn't actually cause any wounds. Ho hum. So the Spartan fired one last cannon into the veteran squads and failed to wound, and everything else at that squad, and I managed to kill 1. That just leaves the Dreadnought, who will also fire at the breachers. And the Dreadnought failed to do anything. My luck is really bad. Just remember Terminators. They're going to shoot at the veteran squad. Alright, Terminators caused a wound killing a guy, and then he caused a wound to himself by getting hot in retaliation, but did kill one of my Terminators. Right, that's everything shot. Let's do some charges. Right, I got into combat, but I did lose 1. Yeah, I lost 1 due to Overwatch. Alright, so all my Terminators died, but I killed his Warlord and how many others?
3.
3 others. Technically he won, but I didn't run away. Yay. That brings an end to turn 2. So we shall be back with Imperial Fists turn 3.
Okay, so movement phase. They moved up there. These guys stayed where they are. The breachers ran over there because I didn't think I'd be shooting much things with my bolt guns. This thing sort of moved around and pointed itself at the Spartan. Dreadnought moved up there, but that reacted and moved back and turned around a little. The Spartan also turned around a little. My Spartan stayed where it is because it's mobilised. These 2 units stayed where they are. Terminators moved up, and the Moritat jumped over there and passed his dangerous terrain check. Okay, so first thing in the shooting phase was the Moritat. I shot at that tactical squad down there. Unfortunately, I didn't kill anyone. And then this Terminator unit fired at that Terminator unit. I managed to kill one of them, but they returned fire and killed one and a half of me. Okay, next the Scorpius fired, and I managed to take out 4 of those guys. Okay, so this heavy support squad just fired into that Terminator squad, and I managed to do 3 wounds to them. Okay, my snipers tried to take a pot shot at Typhon, but unfortunately I failed to wound. Okay, quick amendment. When Dad moved that as a reaction, he completely forgot that it was immobilised, so we've just moved it back to its original position. So firstly, this Spartan fired at the immobilised Kratos and failed to do anything, but then this fired with its melter gun and Gravis melter gun and managed to blow it up. It did explode into it, but it failed to wound. Okay, so this fired its 2 heavy bolters that can fire into that unit and killed 2 of them, and then it fired its big Titan-killing laser cannon into the Spartan, did 1 hull point. Right, on to charging. Okay, so I managed to charge them. Unfortunately, they did 3 wounds to me in the charge phase, losing 1.5 Terminators. Okay, so this combat here, his Praetor managed to kill one of mine, but fortunately I managed to kill his Praetor. So this combat, they killed 3 of me and I killed 2 of them. Fortunately, I passed my morale check. That's all for Imperial Fists turn 3. On to Death Guard turn 3.
Okay, done a little bit of adding things up, and at this point I can't bring it back. Only got 2 turns in, but most of my army's been decimated. I was trying to think of ways I could, but as things stand, it's 1 victory point to me and 8 to the Imperial Fists. I can't get 7 to even break even, let alone get ahead, and he's going to get that objective. Titan's going to go down eventually, so it'll be another for Slaying the Warlord. I'll never get attrition, and it's my only scoring unit at the moment, and that would have to make it all the way past everything here, which is obviously going to swarm in and get them. I mean, these things could probably hold out, but they're not going to do a lot of damage in return. So yeah, that's it. I failed. So, I'll have to rethink my tactics, but for now, thanks for watching. Bye.